Hi, I'm Amanda Rhodenizer. I'm the artist who created the painting Casual Frontier that's in Kitchener-Waterloo Art Gallery's Permanent Collection. So I was born in Bridgewater, Nova Scotia. I did my undergrad in Halifax, and then I moved to Montreal for 6 years before coming to Waterloo to pursue my master's. And then I had 2 kids while I was there. And then eventually during the pandemic, we all moved back to my hometown in Bridgewater to be close to family and the ocean. My studio is a garage on the side of our 1960s house. And we spent a lot of time putting drywall in, and it kind of has a window. I'm happy it's not in the basement anymore, but there are still spiders in it. Everything is pre-jetsoed, dried and sanded and ready to go. And I mean, maybe my favorite thing is the color mixing. So I would spend as long as I wanted to on getting those colors right. And a good day is actually, getting a lot of planning done. And by planning, I probably mean studies. I love when I can blitz through getting a bunch out, because then I just feel like, okay, directions for new paintings. I think I have some kind of emotional use of color. I started to use the neon colors during the Doris McCarthy residency. I was inspired by the color of the neon grass that I was surrounded by. It was maybe early June when I was there. So it was very, very vibrant. But also because a lot of the subject matter I tend to focus on has to do with human interference with the land. The kind of fluorescent colors of construction and pollution and that kind of thing kind of makes sense, just kind of as a narrative device as well. So this painting was part of a series that I developed that was inspired by the guest and host relationship in short-term rentals like Airbnb. It was pre-pandemic, so it was ahead of the real housing crisis that kind of happened during the pandemic and because of all of the moving that took place. But it was kind of inspired by the off season of tourist areas and the houses that would become kind of empty in the winter months. Usually it is about creating a narrative and the presence or absence of people. It all kind of links back to the way that I see our contemporary real estate practices as affecting the future of how of our relationship with the land, as well as a continuation of the colonial legacies. I've tapped into some image making devices used by real estate practices that I think are devised in a way to tempt buyers with showcasing things like views, borders, boundaries, in a way that kind of informs some of the way that I think about how our landscape is commodified and divided up and accessed, especially when you think about Airbnbs and what they have kind of turned into as the opposite of affordable housing. They can really limit who can access those views, for instance, or just rights of housing or that kind of thing. So I think all of that, it's complicated. Like I said, I don't know. How do you squeeze all that into a painting? When you live right on the edge of the ocean, you just get these kind of window pounding winds that just kind of blow just white snow all the time. You can't sort of see any of the landscape during those winter months. They seem like a direct link to the thought in a way that when you overthink something, you kind of move away from the original nugget. So I guess there's that. And that's why sometimes I'll make several studies that I can kind of compare how they came out, what the takeaways were. And yeah, they feel as close to putting my brain on paper as possible. The studies help me to know how to treat different areas of the painting. So there's such a looseness that comes along with the studies that I can try to recapture on a larger scale. I'm not always successful in doing that, but it also just it helps me to remember to keep it fresh and to not overwork. Again, I'll always remember being in Jerry Ferguson's painting class, and of course he was like a conceptual artist from the 70s, but his opinion was, if it takes more than a half an hour, don't do it. So I'd spend more than a half an hour on things, but I do keep those words in my heart. So these kind of questions I often think about in like a more rural context, and like how it was for me growing up with zero access to any kind of art besides like folk art. So yes, I have advice for young artists, and it is to find artists in your community. If you don't live in a big community, it's going to be a little difficult, but it's still possible. Go and look at whatever art is available for you to go and look at, and check out the books in your library on all different types of art. Yeah. That seems really basic.